Now I am become Death, the destroyer of worlds. Hello everybody. Today I have something different. Instead of using a bad Pokemon for December, since it's the season of celebrations, I'm going to be using the 3 box legendaries from Poen. The first one is going to be Kyogre, who might not have as good of a design as Rayquaza, but feels much better to use in my opinion. Kyogre might be a legendary, but it is still bound by the same rules as any other Pokémon, so I can only use it in combat, I can't use any consumables in combat, I can't raise my evasion, and of course no cheats or glitches are allowed. I'm sure this run is going to be a lot faster on my end because of all those stats. 670 is more than double what I usually use. I know the nature is weird, but to make it a bit more fair to the NPCs, I got a random one. Kyogre starts with the water pulse, and between stab and the rain from our ability, that move does a lot of damage. So even if Trico resists it, he goes down easily in 2 hits. After we defeated May, we can proceed with the story, and our next opponent is the Team Aqua Grunt in the forest. This time, his Pokemon is not resistant to water, so he gets destroyed with just one water pulse. We then can take on the first gym leader. Unfortunately for her, she is even weaker to us, since water moves are super effective on all of her team. So yeah, she never stood a chance. Better luck next time, Roxanne. After we drowned her stones, we have to go save Pico another time. Like in the previous fight with the Grunt, the Puchiena gets destroyed, so we can move on to the optional rematch with May. At this point, because of my low level, I'm still stuck with only 2 moves, but Water Pulse is still enough to carry me even against 2 Pokémons who resist it. Hopefully, we will get a couple other moves to be able to deal with those guys. After we are done with May, the next stop is at Brawly's gym. By getting a couple more levels, we learned Ancient Power, which is a physical move in this generation. So it's not going to be that useful to be honest. At least Water Pulse is still broken, so that's another gym down. Next, we have to make our way to Slateport, where we have to fight 2 more Team Aqua Grunts. As usual, they are quite weak. The only annoyance is that their Carvanas resist Water Pulse, but since they don't have that much special defense, water moves can be quite deadly on them, as I learned in the Carvana video myself. Once we washed away all of their Pokémons, their leader pops up to annoy us even further before leaving. Not long after this fight, we have to take on the May 2 match. This fight was not that bad, but it also was not free. My move pool is still kinda bad, so I don't really have an answer for Grovyle, and his absorbs are starting to hurt quite a bit. We are still a legendary, so Grovyle can defeat us so easily, and after a couple more turns, we have beaten all 3 of May's Pokemon. Up next is Watson, and you would be forgiven if you thought that he would be a problem, since he is an electric type trainer, but since all of his Pokémon are neutral to water, all I have to do is spam Water Pulse in the rain to obliterate his team. And with that, we earned another gym badge. We then have to stop Maxi on top of Volcano. This time, since I'm using a special attacker, the Intimidate from my Tiena is effectively useless because I'm not going to use physical moves anyway. I also learned Calm Mind through level up, but I'll try to not use it a lot, as we should have enough power as is, and it would only drag the fights longer. The next gym leader is a Flannery, and she specializes in fire types. So yeah, this did not end well for her. Even if by some miracle she managed to set up the sun, I don't think that would be enough to save her from my water moves, since all of her Pokémons have bad special defense. Once we got the fourth badge, we have to make our way back to our dad because he is the head of the fifth gym. This time I am not super effective on his Pokémons, but my damage is still too high for his team. I thought that maybe Slacking could survive because he has a lot of HP, and that is indeed the case. He owns me, but I managed to defeat him next turn, so I swept another gym. The good news don't end there, because immediately after taking the fifth badge, we are given the Surf HM, which is one of the best water moves in the game, and we are going to use it a lot for the rest of the game. With our moveset completely revamped thanks to the Ice Beam and Thunderbolt TMs, we are ready to take on the world, starting with May. Her team couldn't do anything to me as they all went down in one move each. Soon after we defeated our rival, it's time to face the next gym. Winona uses flying types, and if I were her, I would not like my chances, since I have two moves that are super effective on her Pokémon, and I can switch between the two if needed. Pelipper tries to stall me with a Protect, but we all know that she is just delaying the inevitable. So in a few more turns, I was able to defeat her and earn the sixth badge. Now that we won against Winona, we can resume the game story by picking up the Magma Emblem. And then we take a small detour by fighting May one last time. Once again, her team can't stand up to a god, and we pretty much have an answer for every single one of her Pokémons. Why does she still have a Slugma, Game Freak? I am the one who uses bad Pokémons, not her, says while destroying her with one of the best Pokémons in the game at this point. After unsurprisingly beating her, we have to go spelunking and get all the way to Grodo's chamber, where we arrive too late and witness Maxi reviving Grodo. The fight against him is kinda easy. Once again, I don't care about the Intimidate and can demolish his team with Surf and Thunderbolt. After we failed to stop Maxi, we have quite a long stretch of uneventful game until we have to beat the next gym leader, or should I say leaders, in the double fight against Tate and Liza. If you remember from the Carvana video, I said that their weak spot is a Surf, and I am currently using the King of Surf. So yeah, they did not have a fun 5 minutes. I'm surprised that Xatu leaves a hit, but that is because of my unusually low level for this point in the game. The match is still easy though, and in no time we are through and have acquired another badge. We then have to help Steven in the double fight against the head of Team Magma. And since this one is a double fight too, I had some fun by spamming a lot of surfs. This might not have always been the best move because since it's a spread move, it does a bit less damage, but I did not feel like thinking at this point, and it's not like we are in any danger anyway. Metang didn't really get to do much. Let's consider this a favor paid forward, since I'm surely going to need his help with other fights in the future. Next, we have to fight Archie for the first time in the game. He does not need to awaken Kyogre, as you can see it's right here, and it's about to sweep your team with minimal effort. I switched moves, but I'm sure Surf would have been enough to on its own. And now we have to save the world from ourselves? Question mark. Well, to clear the confusion, you could always subscribe to the channel and ring the bell, as well as press the thumbs up button. Hey, it might be cringe, but I'm trying here. After Rayquaza sends the Mewtwo clone Kyogre back below the waves, we have to take on the last gym. Juan wasn't exactly hard, but he definitely surprised me quite a bit. You see, Kyogre's ability always sets up rain whenever we switch in, and up until now we were the only one taking advantage of it. But now things have changed. Ludwig, as you saw, has Swift Swim and outsped me, but she was not the main problem because it turns out that I was unaware of the fact that Kingdra also has the same ability, and this time our enemy is not so easy to take down. Thankfully, I don't miss too much because of his double teams, so eventually I managed to take down the seahorse and get the last badge. We then have to fight Wally, and even if his team is cool, he does not stand a chance. I can use Ice Beam for Altaria and Roselia, and then wash away the rest of his team with Surf. I'm pretty sure that this is the lowest level I have ever had during this fight. I don't think it's going to be quite enough for the whole league. So after defeating Wally, I force fed some candies to Kyogre and it reached level 65. Our first opponent is Sidney. This time I don't have many issues with this fight. I am going to surf the two poor ducks, Ice Beam the two grass ducks, and Thunderbolt Kronaast. So the match was extremely easy and reminds me of the multiple times I ran through the league to level up Kyogre 100 a decade ago or something like that. Once we defeated him, our next opponent is Phoebe. I was a bit worried that the first Dusclops would survive a surf, but I decided to risk it anyway, and it did not survive. Neither did the rest of her team. I guess I underestimated the power of a Stab, Rain, Surf with 150 base special attack. Even her ace, the level 51 Dusclops, gets one-shotted, which is a great surprise. The next fight is against Glacia. Her Pokémons are somewhat resistant to our moves, but as long as I pay attention to what I'm doing, this should be a walk in the park. For the two Celios and the Walrein later on, I have to use Thunderbolt since they resist the boot of my other moves. While for the two Glaze, I decided to use Surf instead since they don't resist it and it's a lot more powerful than Thunderbolt. With only two fights left, things are looking pretty good for Kyogre. Drake is kinda scary, but not really. I have Ice Beam for most of his team. The only thing that could be a problem is the Kingdra, because like in the previous fight with Juan, it has Swift Swim and can use our rain to outspeed, and then RNG could doom me. Thankfully it does not happen, and I just take a little bit of damage. He also used Smokescreen, but Kyogre is too cool to miss because of it, so we are done with the fourth and last Elite Four. There is only the champion left, and here I actually lost once, because the Ludicolo used Leech Seed. Overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer, or something like that. The second attempt was a bit embarrassing. Ludicolo can outspeed me because of Swift Swim, so I wanted to stall my own rain, but it turns out that if you have Drizzle, the rain never goes away, so I wasted most of my HP. Once I realized that, I went on the offensive and hoped for the best. Thankfully, Ludicolo uses Double Team instead of finishing me off, so I can get past him, and with all of those boosts in a special attack, the rest of the champion team can't really take my attacks, and all of his Pokémons fall one after the other, until I finally finish the fight with one last Thunderbolt. That's about it. Kyogre finished the game very easily with just one unfortunate loss to the champion. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, remember to give me a thumbs up, to share, to subscribe, and ring the bell. And also leave a comment. Any feedback or video suggestions are very welcome. See you next week. Bye!